Well, hello. This is Stephen Rothberg. I am the founder and chief visionary officer of College Recruiter, and welcome to episode 46 of the Inside Job Boards and Recruitment Marketplaces podcast. I am joined here by my co-host.
I'm Peter Zollman, founder of the AIM Group. We help recruitment marketplaces. We help all marketplaces with business intelligence and conferences. And we work with companies like Jobindex in Denmark, which is doing a fascinating, there's a fascinating battle going on. And Kaare Danielsen of Jobindex is going to tell us about that. Any job site that wants to go after Google is interesting at the very least.
Mm-hmm.
Kaare, tell us about Jobindex, and more important, tell us about the ongoing battle with Google.
Well, sure, and I'm happy to be invited to this show. First, let me explain a little bit about what Jobindex is, because we're a little slightly different from regular job boards. We're what I call a hybrid model between a job board and aggregator. We are actually the oldest aggregator in the job aggregator in the world. We started 27 and a half years ago, long before Google started, and we started aggregating all the jobs in Denmark. But we are also a regular job board where you can post your jobs just like you can on other job boards. And we also are recruiting companies, so you can also ask us to do recruiting just like other recruiters. So but first of all, we are the largest job site in Denmark. About a third of all jobs that are posted in Denmark are posted as paid jobs on Jobindex. And in terms of market share, we are there's basically us and LinkedIn, and then the government job site that is run by the government unemployment site. So we have a fairly large position in Denmark, and we regard that means our position is slightly different from other sites. So we regard Google for Jobs as a direct competitor to us, because they're not doing anything new. They're basically doing exactly the same thing that we've been doing for 27 and a half years.
So you and the European Commission are tackling that subject. Tell us about that.
Yes, we've done 2 complaints. First of all, we filed a complaint with the EU last year, where we complained that Google is using their dominant position in search to launch a site that is competing directly to us. And we've experienced a 20% drop in traffic from Google since they launched this service. So we're basically saying that they've copied our concept, and they are also redirecting traffic that used to go to Jobindex that now goes to Google for Jobs instead. And then recently we launched a copyright case against Google in the courts of Denmark.
So the copyright case that you recently launched is kind of what prompted me to reach out. I think I read about it in the AIM Group's recruitment intelligence report 2-3 weeks ago, something like that. My understanding is that Jobindex does not want, let's call it its job postings, the employers that advertise their jobs on Jobindex. So you do not want those to be indexed or to be searchable on Google, whether it's in their traditional search results or whether that's in Google for Jobs. Is that the case? And if so, and I'm going to say this, and I hopefully in a funny way, what do you have against wonderful free traffic?
Well, what I have against it is that we regard Google for Jobs as a direct competitor to Jobindex. So we don't regard them as a source of traffic. We regard them that they're doing exactly the same thing that we've been doing for 27 and a half years. It's first of all, I should mention that it's actually not Jobindex that is suing Google in the copyright case. It's the Danish Media Association, because the other news sites are also interested in not having their content copied. So it's a Danish Media Association that consists of all the newspapers and news sites and so on. And what Google is doing is we've asked Google not to be included and not have our job adverts included in Google for Job Ads. What we find is that our job adverts are still part of Google for Jobs, because there are Google works together with other aggregators around the world, such as, for instance, GrabJobs in Singapore, that sort of takes all the job adverts they can find around the world, and including Jobindex, and post these job adverts to Google for Jobs. So even though we ask Google not to index our job adverts, our job adverts still appear on Google for Jobs, and that includes the job adverts that have been written by our text editors. We have text copywriters that write not only job adverts for our own recruiting department, but also for some of our customers. So we write about 2,000 job adverts per year, which are written by our copywriters. And those are clearly job adverts so it's not just job adverts from our customers, it's also job adverts that our recruiters have written themselves. And these are also copied to Google for Jobs through partners such as GrabJobs in Singapore.
So I have a quick follow-up question, because there's been some, I suspect, misinformation, incorrect information that some people in the TA tech world, podcasters, et cetera, have talked about. Has Jobindex done the markup on its pages so that Google for Jobs can understand this field is job title, this field, et cetera? In other words, telling Google, we're trying to make it easy for you to index, or are you using Google's API to send your jobs to them?
No, we have done neither of that, and they are not copied directly to Google for Jobs from Jobindex. What happens is that partners such as GrabJobs in Singapore copies our adverts to their site and then post them to. And in some case, when some of the users go and apply for the jobs, the application, the users don't go to Jobindex, they go to GrabJobs in Singapore, or sites in Africa or Albania. And in some cases, the applications also end up in Singapore, or so we don't get to even though we are recruiting partner for the job advert, in some cases we don't get the application. The application ends up in some sites in Singapore or Albania, and we never get the applications. So some of the users they redirect the users to partner sites, and in some cases the applications are also redirected to partner sites who uses this personal information to I don't know what, but we don't see the applications ever. So they're also sort of misleading the users in some cases.
Two quick questions. Has there been any response from Google? And I got to point out, we should have asked Google for a response, and we didn't, but we will. Has there been any response from Google?
We had some intermediate discussions with Google before we launched the copyright and I can't go into details, of course, what they said, but in short, they believe that they are entitled to do what they are doing, and they are, of course, not the ones that are copying, but their partners are. So it's really also what it really is about, and why the Danish Media Association is interested in this, because this is about what are the responsibilities of big tech. What are they responsible for the content that are on their site, even though it's been posted by others? and can they? What are the limitations of copyright? There's a new EU copyright law, so this will be the first case that tries that and finds out what are you really allowed to copy and whatnot. Because of course the interest from the media are of course that the people in Singapore can also make a site called Grab News and create news out of and very, very soon, somebody will be able to read news articles from 3 different news sites and create a 4th news article that are based on these 3 without really copying of any of this content and then posting it to some news sites. So this is really about what is the limitations of what you're allowed to copy and how should this new EU copyright rule be interpreted.
Interesting. So I think we have time for one more question. I'm going to grab it. So the Danish Media Association involvement in it. Why are they the ones who are suing Google? Why is Jobindex not doing that directly?
Well, I mean, we want to get some backup. There's a case between Jobindex and Google will be a small case. A case between the Danish Media Association and Google is big news, and so we want the backing of our association. I mean, they have the legal resources and so on to do this. Mm-hmm.
Cool. Peter, any last words?
Well, yes, actually, one of our viewers, Alexander Chukovsky, who is a really sharp AI guy in the recruitment space, says that there are ways to block them. And I recommend you talk to Alexander, or we can email you his comments later.
Mm-hmm.
But in one way, it seems like a little tiny ankle biter on the giant elephant legs of Google. On the other hand, in Europe, and particularly with the European Commission involved and the Danish Media Association, it could have, because it's not just Jobindex anymore in the battle, it's much more than that. It could have very interesting implications. We are watching it. We'll probably have you back in 4, 6, or 8 months, or it may take 2 years, or if it were like the U.S. justice system, it would take 7 or 8 years before anything happens. But we will see how it goes, and we appreciate you giving us the fill-in, and we will try to get Google. I know so far they have been very no commenty about this, but we certainly should have asked them, and we will ask them for a comment and bring it back. Any last words, Stephen, or should we wrap up and say see you soon?
Core, thank you very much for joining us on this special episode. As the regular viewers know, this is not a regular week, but we thought that this story was too important to leave for 3 months from now or whatever. Pleasure seeing you. Look forward to seeing you hopefully in Barcelona at the AIM Group's conference in April.
Right.
See you. Be well. Thank you very much. Have a good one.
Cheers.